Imagine standing beneath the forest of columns in the New Kingdom Hypostyle Hall at Karnak and hearing the stone itself sustain a low-frequency hum centered near 40 Hz, an axial mode that nodes along column bays and clerestory apertures. Picture, too, a sealed Roman mithraeum, subterranean and vaulted, returning the same low band when a chant or struck stone excites the space. These are repeatable, measurable acoustic signatures embedded in built form. They demand an explanation beyond accidental echo.
Welcome to Stargate Codex. I am Dr. Elias Thorne, lead historian and decoder of ancient systems. In each episode, we bypass standard chronological textbooks to dissect the preserved records, architectural mathematical constants, and structural anomalies left behind by history's most guarded initiatory networks. From the Egyptian priesthoods and Pythagorean Brotherhood to the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, and the global web of clandestine political orders. This is an objective archival deep dive into the hidden blueprints of civilization. Prepare to decode the pattern.
The anomaly is concrete and datable. Karnak's second Hypostyle Hall, rebuilt under Seti I and completed in Ramesses II's reign, 13th century BCE, uses column geometry and ceiling heights that produce a dominant axial mode.
Field recordings from 2016 to 2019 document standing wave patterns aligned to column bays and clerestory apertures. The modal peaks persist across seasons and sensor deployments.
We logged consistent 40 Hz peaks at the ritual axis. Multiple deployments confirmed it.
In Roman contexts, sealed mithraea excavated at Ostia and along the Danubian limes, 2nd and 3rd century CE contexts, yield amplified low modes when researchers reproduced ritual vocalizations. The band repeats in both material and function. If this were random, we would expect far more variance. We do not see it.
The textual record complicates any accident hypothesis. Vitruvius, in De Architectura, Book 5, treats sonorous halls as technical problems. Vault curvature, material density, and bay spacing are prescriptions, not metaphors. Sumerian temple hymn fragments from early 3rd millennium tablets instruct priests to sustain low vowels at designated loci within sanctuaries, phrases that tie phonation to place. Those tablet notations correlate with reinforced masonry and cavity spaces in the substructure. Text and fabric are two halves of the same decision.
So, were these accidents or design? To answer that, we move from anomaly to archive. Vitruvius gives a practical technical manual. When we map his prescriptions onto surviving hypostyle geometries, proportional modules, column spacing, capital diameters, clerestory heights, produce modal behavior predictable by modern acoustic models.
Sumerian hymns do more than set tone. They place the singer. A line that locates a cantor at the western portico often aligns with masonry reinforcement and substructural cavities that, when analyzed, alter local modal fields. Those are operational instructions encoded in ritual language.
Medieval and early modern sources extend the chain. Chartres cartularies and Templar chapel plans show chambering and crypt niches that cluster energy in a narrow band when the space is excited by human voice. The Golden Dawn's degree rubrics require lowered tonal recitation. Rosicrucian manifestos speak of sound measured and true. Vatican marginalia record adjustments to choir layout to hush or carry tones for specific rites. Those operational records map cleanly onto measured consequences when we overlay nodal fields onto plans.
Recent archaeometry supplies the technical spine. Teams instrumented hypostyle elevations and crypt vaults with accelerometers, pressure microphones, and modal analysis software.
Persistent low-frequency modes, long wavelength axial resonances between 30 and 60 Hz, correlate to architectural modules, intercolumnation, soffit depth, cavity volumes. In Mithraea, energy concentrates along ritual axes where cult imagery and altars sit. The raw matrices, spectrograms, and sensor placements are included in the notes.
Spectral decompositions from independent teams match within experimental error. Same peaks, same axes.
Turning to operational texts for procedural evidence, the Golden Dawn's rubrics prescribe graduated vocal registers and explicit breathing notes. Rosicrucian allegory repeatedly references the tone which opens the door. 17th century liturgical marginalia instruct choir reconfiguration to alter carry and husk of tone. When decoded with the geometry of power framework, these instructions predict measurable acoustic outcomes. Hushed low intonation yields subharmonic reinforcement in situ, an effect with clear psychoacoustic impact on listeners within the space.
There are necessary caveats. Construction tolerances, settlement, and later modifications can introduce or change modal behavior. The risk of overinterpretation is real. Where claims are made, they are anchored to contemporaneous text, datable fabric, mortar analysis and inscriptions, and repeated measurements across independent teams. Where data is partial, I flag conjecture. This is an archival method designed to separate engineered protocol from acoustic accident.
Taken together, the pattern is systematic. It marks initiation thresholds. It creates associative memory. It functions as a secrecy filter. And it travels. Guild rolls, liturgical chapters, and initiation manuals preserve these techniques across eras. The recurrence across Egyptian temple acoustics, Sumerian liturgical instruction, Roman cult spaces, Templar crypt plans, and later ritual rubrics is too consistent to be incidental.
Applying Skye Alden's decoding frameworks produces a reproducible methodology. Step 1. Identify fixed architectural modules, column grids, vault curvature, cavity volumes, and derive theoretical modal bands from geometric ratios. Step 2. Cross-reference contemporary prescriptions for vocalization, instrument use, or ritual placement, and locate overlaps with modal peaks. Step 3. Consult independent archaeometric measurements, accelerometry, and spectral analysis from multiple campaigns to validate the theoretical bands in situ.
Run the models, then confirm with sensors placed at nodal and antinodal positions. Verify reproducibility across deployments. Step 4. Trace operational continuity through documentary chains, guild rolls, liturgical marginalia, initiation manuals, to establish intentional conservation. Step 5. Qualify conclusions by ruling out accidental sources and noting later interventions. These markers form testable hypotheses for fieldwork and archival verification.
Sound, when read along stone and text, is an archaeological register as durable as pigment or inscription. Builders and initiators encoded sonic protocols, conserved them in operative vocabulary, and transmitted them through both clandestine rolls and public practice. This is not mystical speculation. It is the archive speaking through multiple media.
For verification, the episode notes contain primary text references, measurement appendices, spectrograms, sensor placement diagrams, and a comparative matrix correlating modal frequencies with architectural modules and ritual positions. The dataset is provided to encourage peer testing. The method is falsifiable and meant for collaborative archival scrutiny.
That concludes our historical tracking of this specific anomaly within the Codex. The records demonstrate that behind the curtain of standard history lies a repeating, systemic mechanism of knowledge transmission and governance preserved across generations. We have laid out the timeline, parsed the primary source texts, and exposed the architectural blueprint. The archive remains open for those who know how to read it. The archive never lies. The text remains.
To download the source packet, measurement tables, manuscript folios, and the stepwise decoding matrix, use the link in the episode notes. Examine the data, reproduce the surveys, and submit results for peer review. The archive requires rigorous scrutiny. The method demands discipline. Thank you for listening to Stargate Codex.